Consider it
been
punched. In fact, punch, yeah.
Here we
are. We're live. We're back. It's Monday, and that means it's time for MCU Mondays, the show where we talk about the MCU here on Geek News Now. Make sure to check out all your Geek News Now needs on Geek News Now, geeknewsnow.net. But anyway, MCU Mondays, that's what we do. I'm your host, Chris, joined as always by my co-host, Debbie. Debbie, how are you?
Live long and prosper. I'm good.
Star Trek stuff, I guess. Okay. I'm not a Trek.
Oh, you're not
Trekster.
A Trekkie?
I mean, I've watched some of it, but I just never really got into it as much as I was always Star Wars. And back then,
when they called Han Solo a bitch, I had to.
Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch. But yeah, I just never fully got into it, and nothing against it. It's not like I'm mad at it or anything. I preferred Star Wars. But what are you going to do? We're not here to talk about either of those things. We're here to talk about MCU. We're talking about episode 3 of Miss Marvel. We're also joined, as we most usually are, by David down there below us. David, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty solid. I like your shirt.
Yeah, it's a great shirt. These are available. You can buy these. You can go check out our merch. We sell these.
It's available. And you can, if you don't want a boner alert, we do just have Geek News Now shirts. But I mean, who doesn't want
to walk around Walmart or Target wearing this?
Setting off. Yes.
Having people laugh at you and say, what does that mean?
You could become one of the people of Walmart videos or pictures.
That's right. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's a glorious thing. But anyway, MCU Mondays, we're here to talk about the MCU, which right now is Miss Marvel. That's the thing that's happening. That's what's coming out. We're talking about episode 3 today, because that is the most recent one. And some questions were answered. Overall, though, this episode felt like a little bit of a filler or exposition episode. Maybe it was more of an exposition type thing. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get into that and more as we talk all about episode 3 of Miss Marvel. Before we do that, let's get the theme song to officially start the show.
Theme song guy.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah. All right.
And somehow that Hulk scene always seems to make it in.
I like it.
It's hilarious.
I make the intro, and I decided that I'm just going to keep that in, unless somehow he does something even funnier. He's my favorite character so far in the show, by the way. Kamala's dad. Not that I don't like, some of the other, but he's funny. He's such a nice. Yeah, he's funny. He's funny, but he's also just like a genuinely kind person. Like, we'll get to it. This is jumping ahead a bit, but his scene with Bruno is just great. Mm-hmm. He's every time I see him, like, it puts a smile on my face, and he's usually smiling too, or giving some good advice. Even later in the episode, he gives some good advice to his son about his wedding. But, we'll get there when we get there. Let's talk about what we start out with, which it picks up right where the last episode, left off. She got in the car with, this is Kamran's, there's my mom. Okay, what does that mean? And so, long story short, they're nigh immortal beings, and they're the Jinn. These, the things that they're literally ghost stories, but like worse, demon stories. So these people are Jinn. What did you think of that reveal? What did you think? How did that?
Did that play out in the comics at any point? I mean,
I-
is this like a group that we
She was an
know about
Inhuman in the comics, so I don't even know if this.
Well, there is an obscure comic based on, and she mentions the name, the Clandestines, which is kind of, they had it all in one word, but it's kind of like two words, Clandestines, like the Clandestines.
I mean, there's okay.
And
It's also
yeah,
clandestine is a word.
yeah, well,
So
I don't know. In the comics, they were known as the two separate words, but maybe they all became one.
that
I
was
don't know.
probably because they were like, "Hey, clandestine's a word. Let's just."
Or-
They're clandestine. Get it? Wink.
Yeah.
wink, wink.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
clever.
It was an obscure comic, 1994. They made like 12 appearances in various Marvel comics. The main guy was Adam Ravencroft, who was like some kind of a English knight, and he married. He had gotten injured and was saved and healed by a djinn, and he ended up marrying her. Her name was Eliath, I think, and so yeah, that's just how that all came together. So,
Did that have anything to do with Miss Marvel?
Um,
to your knowledge?
No, because that would have, if that happened in the 90s, Miss Marvel wasn't even a thing.
Wasn't. Yeah.
Well, they pick and choose what they do. So
They've remade her character essentially. So
I'm wondering if because they're referred to as demons, this is the way we introduce Mephisto. Is this the way we get him?
well,
just for you, Debbie. Just for you. Gotta throw it out there.
I appreciate that.
Well, now it's been confirmed. So
It was on MCU Mondays. It's confirmed. We got it.
Jin. Yeah, that was kind of an angle that I didn't see coming. And then it's not even that they're just like demons, they're just from another dimension or something. So they're extra dimensional beings. And they were banished to this dimension for some reason. We don't know why. And they're trying to get back, which they can't do, and we don't know why.
Yeah, well, they don't have the enough power because they're not originally from this dimension, or yeah.
Well, that's what she says, is that they
Yeah.
can't use the bangles or whatever because they're not from this dimension. But since she was born in this dimension, that means for some reason she can. And which also begs the question of how come you don't know how your own technology works? How come is this your technology? Because they find that bangle thing on a severed arm, which looks
arm
blue. Like. Yeah, it definitely looks like a blue arm, and which could be a Kree arm, or maybe they were just very cold.
And it was in a temple.
Frost giant, yeah.
And it was in a temple where the floor had the symbol of the 10 rings.
Yes.
So like, what the hell?
I didn't eat.
Well, hey, the 10 rings, as we now know, have been around
for hundreds and thousands.
Yeah, they basically took over the world behind the scenes, but nobody noticed.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I missed that completely. And it switched scenes, and Luke was like, "Did you see it? The 10 rings, they were right there." And I'm like, "No, we had to back it up." And I was like, "Oh my God, there it is! It sure is." That's why I think that the 10 rings, because I said the 10 rings couldn't be identified. The 10 rings and the bangle, all of that is.
Well, do you think? Yeah,
somehow.
well, there's another bangle essentially out there.
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned, one of the other people mentioned, like, the British have raided this place a dozen times possibly. So it's possibly the British have it. Maybe it's like in a museum. Well, we basically don't know where it is. But there's another one out there that you're supposed to use both of them, and then multi-dimensional travel is possible, which is interesting because this is the first. They're not talking about multiversal travel. They're talking about multi-dimensional. So that's like within the same universe, but they're different. So this could be a way to get into those afterlife places, like the.
Every time I kept thinking of it, I was thinking of Dormammu, Dark Dimension.
Or the Dark Dimension. I mean, yeah, this is a way to travel between, possibly a way to travel between all these different places.
And especially since Doctor Strange 2 had the credit scene that it did, where what's her name showed up and cut a hole, and it looked like it was the Dark Dimension.
Mhm.
Are we going to have Miss Marvel and Doctor Strange 3?
Could be some sort of tie in there. Who knows? There's still a lot of questions to be answered about Miss Marvel herself, like how the show's going to end. Where is she going to be at? Because things are closing in on her ever so freaking slowly. By the way, Damage Control is idiotic. Like stupidly bad. When we get to the part at the end where Damage Control shows up, I tell you what, it's not even bad editing. It's just like, you guys must be okay, we'll get there. We will get there. That was just ridiculous. Oh my god, it was so stupid. But yeah, we're not there yet. So she decides she's going to help the Jinn, which is a weird decision because she also talks to Bruno, and Bruno explains, he's like, hey, the thing that you're talking about doing, opening this portal for them, the energy would take about the energy of the sun, and there's like chances that it'll go wrong. There's a probability that it'll go wrong. And she's like, explain that to me like I'm an idiot. And I go, I'm starting to think that you are an idiot. Yeah. And so he goes, power, things can go boom. And she's like, so there's a chance things can go boom. And at that point, I was like, yes, there's a chance that something with the power of the sun could go wrong. If there's a chance, you don't want to be doing this. You're much too cavalier about the possibility of your sun energy having power, just going awry.
Well, she's still
way
thinking
too cavalier about that.
Carol Danvers, and she even mentioned that.
She says it's. She's like, Carol Danvers wouldn't wait, and he's like,
then you're not Carol Danvers.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing that you're not her. And if she did do what you're talking about doing, then she'd be reckless and idiotic. And yeah, she definitely has that hero worship thing going so strong. And I just couldn't believe it when he goes, it's the power of the sun, essentially, that much energy. And there's a chance things will go wrong. And she's like, well, there's a chance things will go wrong. And I'm like sitting there going,
I was like,
that's a bad thing. That's not a reason to do it. It's just a chance. Exactly, a chance.
I'm looking at it going, didn't you watch Spider-Man 2? I mean, come on.
You're supposed to be the ultimate
tried
fan
that,
girl, right?
He was
I see you wearing an Iron Man t-shirt right now. You should know. If you can't do it without the bangle, then you shouldn't do it or whatever. I don't know. That's if you're nothing without the bangle. But yeah, apparently she is something without it anyway. She's half other dimensional being or whatever. I don't know how that works.
Half Jinn or part Jinn.
Doesn't.
Like that.
And does that mean like what? Is her ma? Can they slow down their aging too? Because we just have this group of people that are immortal warriors, and then we've got like her parents. So I'm like, how much are you aware of what's going on? At this point, it seems like nothing, because even by the end of the episode, they're like, we don't know. We still are completely unaware. Even, oh my gosh, this is just so ridiculous. After the wedding and everything, there are cops running in. They apparently never get into the main room where the superhero fight's happening. It's like, what? There's no fire. There's nothing. Everyone else is evacuated. Go towards the room with the superhero noises and the lights. What? You see them running. They made a point of it. The brides are standing outside complimenting. Oh, at least you look nice. You look nice too. Cops are running inside. We never see them. It's what
they ran inside and found the food tables and said, this is a good place
to let's get at this before. Oh man. So I don't know. The other stuff that happened in this episode, I guess there was that party, like
the Mendy party.
Yeah, and she hears everyone talking about her. Talking about the superhero, and they're like, this person is bad, this is terrible. And she talks to the I don't know, the leader of the, what do you
Of
call
the
it?
mosque.
It's not a priest. It's got to be a
It's
different
a,
word.
oh,
Maybe I
Lordy.
don't know.
I should know this.
Yeah, David.
Keep talking. I'll think of it.
Okay. She talks to him, and because he mentions that damage control had showed up, because there's also that scene where they come in, and he's like, "Next time, take off your shoes." And do they have a sign up? Did they have a sign that says "Take your shoes off"? Because they should really have a sign. I didn't know that you're supposed to just, without watching the show. I would just say put up a sign. Probably gonna, not that the government would necessarily even care, because power of the badge. But that whole thing is like they just walk in, and then Nakia is like, "Whoa." She's still not elected, but she's still. I'm like, "You're in high school, right? Wow.
You're in high school and you're a girl."
Very, very. And you're not even elected yet, but you're talking over.
Imam. It's an imam. Is what they're called.
Imam. Talking over the imam.
Yeah.
But I was like, way to go, because you're putting them in their place. Like, you can't do this. Oh, where did you study law in your homeroom class? And she goes, "No, I rewatched episodes of Law and Order." And I was like, I don't know if that's it's a snappy comeback, but I don't know if it's I don't know if it's as effective as you think it might be.
Are you a doctor? No, yeah. I got on Google.
I watched a lot of Doogie Howser. Thank you very much. Like, that's not actually how that works, but okay, whatever. We find out she does get elected. She made it. And she really puts on a show for Kamala. She goes in and flops on her bed, and she's like, "This nightlight is ruining my life, and that's a stupid name." And
I thought so too.
And yeah, and damage control just completely walked in and blah blah blah, and I got elected board member. I'm like, "Oh yeah, your life sucks. I'm sorry, what's
I think
everything's about you, isn't it?"
I think she was mainly mad because this superhero, who she doesn't know who it is yet, is basically kind of putting more of a target on their back than what they normally have anyways. So I think, that's why she was upset mostly.
And she doesn't know that Kamala is actually that person, because that would totally change the way that you would be interacting. Yeah. This is like complaining about someone who's not in the room, but that actually is the person you are complaining to. It's like bitching about Batman to Bruce Wayne, Can you believe this bat freak? I swear. Ruining this town.
What was it? It was in Batman versus Superman. Oh, your newspaper writes a puff piece about every time an alien swoops down and saves a cat from a tree. Who are you talking to? It's exactly what that scene was.
Yep. And they did something similar to that, except the people didn't know who the other was. But I mean, in the Dark Knight, they're talking about, like, who do you think this bad guy is?
What if Harvey Dent is secretly Batman?
Is this the mouth that you recognize? Yeah. Oh, what a costume.
Hey, you know what? It's better than Superman's disguise, so we'll just say that. Oh, I'm going to put glasses on and nobody will notice.
Well, he's mild-mannered and unassuming. No one would expect that to be Superman. Superman's flying around with a cape. It's full of pageantry. And Clark Kent tripped over his shoelaces this morning. It couldn't be Superman. I saw him drop his keys in the parking lot. There's no way that guy is Superman. It's a good disguise. I think he gets into it. It's like cosplaying as human. But Miss Marvel, Kamala, she talks to the Iman at the party when he's leaving, and she asks him what, does he actually think like everyone else that this new superhero, aka her, is good or bad or blah blah blah. And he says good isn't what you are, isn't something that you are. It's something. It's the thing that you do, or it's what you do, which is a good line. It's not about, you aren't, it's about what actions you take. So that's very, with great power comes great responsibility.
I was about to say, there it is.
But they can't say that again.
No, it's Spider-Man.
That's Spider-Man. And half the time they can't even say it in Spider-Man anymore. If you have the power to stop the thing from happening and you don't stop the thing that happens, then you're responsible for that thing happening. Okay, all right. Just say with great power comes great responsibility. Stop it with these tongue twisters. You're sounding like Yoda. Anyway, not that there's anything wrong with that. So she wants to do the right thing, but it still strikes me as odd that she thinks helping the djinn is a good thing to do. She never really has a reason for why that's the right thing to do.
But she never really, other than the fact that they're trying to beat her up and steal everything, she doesn't really have a reason to.
Well, initially,
then she decides not to, but she initially just wants to help them, and I was like, why? You found out that they're the ultimate bad guys of your culture, and you're like, I should help them. That's the right thing to do. Why is that? Why do you think that that's the right thing to do? Because Conran's hot? I don't think that's a good enough reason.
She's a teenager. Yes, it's a good enough reason.
Okay, so there you go. You know what? Power of the sun possibly exploding the earth. Worth it to help these demons. Because he's hot. Because the half demon is hot. And also she's half demon. So she's probably like, if that's even the truth. Who knows if that's even true? We don't know if that's true. You know who told her that? The demons. Do we really trust all that exposition? Of which there was plenty. Actually, my favorite exposition, though, we could talk about it now, was when her dad goes in to talk to Bruno, and he's got the pages on the djinn or whatever they had printed out. And the dad's like, oh, this is written in Urdu. How about I just translate all this for you? Okay, so these pages that you've printed out are the specific definition of the people that you just found. Oh, and I've never heard of it before. Okay, thank you for my fruit pie. See you later. What? How did he find? So, legend has it, there's these djinn, and there's another legend of special djinn that were banished from their homeworld, and they're seeking a way to get back. I'm just like, where did you look this up, kid? Like, did you just Google djinn and you're like, oh, that looks about right? Okay. Well, it's in Urdu. Like, he found it in Urdu. It's not even in a language that he understands. How did you find exactly?
How did you know what that was about?
Yeah, like, boy, that was
some
lucky happenstance right there. Boy, that Bruno is a smart kid.
The guy in the chair.
And he told her that he's going to Caltech.
Yes.
Or that he went, as long as everything's going to be okay. She doesn't know what that means.
Well, she didn't seem
she's a teenager.
Too upset about it. Like, oh no, don't go. You're my best friend.
Was almost distracted by. I don't think she wanted to talk about it.
Yeah,
but she seemed kind of upset. She was like, why didn't you tell me sooner? You seemed busy. What with the
superpowers?
Whoosh and the woo. And I guess he had sent her the mask, which she still hasn't worn, but she opened it and looked at it. I guess that's technically foreshadowing, but it's a little heavy-handed. She got a mask. I bet she puts it on at some point. Will she put it on during the giant superhero fight that happens in this episode? No. Luckily, no one walks in.
And she didn't have her suit with her, I guess.
Well,
like she did the other time.
Slap on the little mask. I don't know. No, luckily everyone else was out because of the fire alarm. And again, the cops that ran in went the other way, I guess. They were like, I think there's a superhero fight happening in there. We're just cops. I'm not going in there.
We're gonna go get some cake.
I've seen what the Hulk can do. I'm not getting smashed today.
Maybe they were distracted by the Bon Jovi music.
Brown Jovi. They were evacuated as well.
Yeah, but before they left, he put on a tape or record or something, and it was playing Bon Jovi.
It was great. Yeah, so they fight, and she kind of is basically just trying to get away the entire time.
Yeah, these guys really don't have powers. I mean, they seem to be strong.
Well, they have their own unique weapons that they all pull out.
Well, they seem to like tap something in the weapons.
Dude, this will fold out of nothing. Ooh, look, I've got a hammer now. How come nobody has a gun?
It became
I got a gun in my room.
This guy has like a giant metal whip thing and he's spinning around. I'm like, one person, literally give me Indiana Jones pulling out his gun and just like shooting this guy. Shoot it. None of them like get a gun. Get somebody or like a laser gun too. Aren't you from a dimension of light or something? And in what way are you from a dimension of light? You look like people. You just look like people. Well, we don't age. What does that have to do with light? I don't. What? We're the Noor. I think you just made that up.
Noor means dark, doesn't it?
Well, I wonder if it's from that dimension we see.
They're Noor.
Oh, I see.
I think they're from that dimension we seen in the first episode when she first uses or she puts on that bracelet and she kind of falls back and we see the Jawas in the background.
They got everybody's got glowing eyes, yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's the dimension they're trying to, which doesn't look like a very happy dimension, but.
And why were they banished?
I was gonna say, why are you helping them? Oh, we were banished and we're trying to get back.
Why do they want to get back?
Let me help you. Okay, wait a second. That's banishment says that's a whole lot of red flags going up. That's a whole lot
exactly.
Of whoa.
She doesn't even ask, like, why were you banished? Even if they could just lie to her about it, but that question never even comes up. She's like, I'll just help them. Why don't her strong desire to help them, I guess, really just comes from she thinks Cameron's hot and doesn't want to burn that bridge.
It's a teenager. That's what it is.
Or
you also got to wonder.
Do good, but still, when you hear somebody's been banished, I mean, they had to do something pretty damn bad to get exiled.
And how many other half Jin do you know? It's a culture thing. Okay, that's literally the only other outside of my family, I guess. And I only found out about that 2 days ago. But also, what was the time? Seems like there's time pressure because she sends back to him. She says it's too dangerous right now, but she's gonna like keep trying to work on it. And he's like, "Don't worry about it. Focus on the wedding." And then I guess his mom is going through his texts and it's like, "You weren't gonna tell us." She seemed like, what is the sudden time pressure?
I don't know.
Like, haven't you been here since the 40s, if not even longer than that? Why is it so urgent that you need to like crash a wedding? And and apparently the plan was to murder everyone there in order to get like what I want to know what
stepped up the timeline to where you have to act now.
That exactly.
Maybe if they're banished for so long that, I mean, maybe they have I don't know.
We got
a certain amount of time to get back.
The final petal is falling off the rose that my Beauty and the Beast and curse is.
I caught it.
I'll turn into yes. How far should I go with it? No. Yeah. So we'll find out. But apparently, in the next episode, she's going to Karachi. It's like that episode of Moon Knight where he's like, "All right, The next episode will be in Egypt. Well, except in this one, I have no idea how she's going to get there because she can't just snap into a different personality and wake up. She doesn't have a bunch of passports and guns and tons of money like Moon Knight does. She's a high schooler. So yeah, how is she gonna get there? I find that fascinating. Like, what's gonna happen there? I don't know.
She's
probably gonna be forced to tell her parents.
She's gonna get.
I thought she was gonna tell in this episode.
She'll get on a standby flight somewhere and it'll just take twice as long.
I'll sign up as a courier.
And once they get to Karachi, that's probably where Red Dagger is going to come in. Because he's a Pakistani superhero, well, he's not a superhero because he doesn't have powers. He just does knives very well.
Well,
but he's a big thing over there in Pakistan. So.
Hold on. Because Batman doesn't have powers either. Iron Man doesn't have powers, but we call them superheroes. So I think calling him a superhero is warranted. Just based on that.
Boom. So he's a superhero.
Mic drop.
If you're good enough, if you're evading the police, damage control, and all this other stuff, and it's actually more impressive if you don't have superpowers and you're doing all that.
Now, Hawkeye, well, whatever.
He's an agent. I don't know. He's a. These are
and you know
smaller
what?
Agents
and Natasha for that matter too, but whatever.
They're heroes, okay? They're not
superheroes. They're just
supered heroes. They're not soups, to use the boys' terminology. Stinking soups.
I still haven't watched season 3 yet.
It's quite awesome. It's insane.
Luke's away at camp this week. Maybe I can get away with it.
Yeah, I was about to say it is typical of the boys, which means not at all for children.
Not at all.
Oh my god, I can't stress that enough. Yeah, it's for adults. It's the best show that's on television. But
it's like,
keep your children away from it. Yeah. Miss Marvel's, kind of the opposite of that.
Yeah.
I did think in this episode there was less, not entirely gone, but less of that kind of editing stuff that they were doing, less with the transitions, less with the, adding effects to. Mm-hmm. It seemed more, they did a little bit where they were just like, oh, the wedding, then that showed up like that. But in the other episodes, they had the people outlined and stuff and the way that they would go from one place to another. This,
uh-oh.
Dun, dun,
I was going to say, this seemed much more like a typical Marvel.
That and here's why. I now that you've said it the way that you said it, it makes sense to me now. Because before the bangle, she was in her fantasy world. That was, she wanted to be. And
now it's becoming real.
Now it's becoming real, so she doesn't need the fantasy anymore.
I'm glad that you said it.
I'm glad that you helped me figure it out. Thank you. Appreciate that.
That's what I was kind of leaning towards. I was actually going to phrase it as a question. I was going to say, do you guys think that maybe they're moving away from that and that's not to say it's going to disappear entirely, because I still think it's part of her personality. But I think now that there's stuff happening, like she doesn't have time to daydream. She's realitying. She's living it. She's living the dream. And sometimes that dream is a nightmare.
It's not always what you think it's going to be.
Now, so let's talk about the fight at the wedding. She pulls a fire alarm to get the family evacuated. And then she fights the clandestine, the djinn. And for the most part, she kind of runs away. They do a brief raptors in the kitchen Jurassic Park chase where she's kind of on the ground avoiding. But then they catch up, and she basically is on the defense and runs until Bruno gets hit, and then she whips out with a punch. And before he gets hit, she doesn't do anything to attack. She barely uses it at all.
she hasn't had a need. Now that someone that she cares about is in danger, now we're thrust into this, and we have to.
And that's when she gives that punch, and then she just whips and then she starts punching everybody like that. Bing bang, boom. And I was like, you didn't think of that before? Well, whatever.
That's my secret. That's my secret, Cap. I'm mad all the time. Always.
That's angry. My secret. I could have done this at any point. I'll do it now. Okay. And so then she's fighting, and the fighting continues, and no one sees it for whatever reason. They surround her at one point. She's escaping with Bruno. They surround her. Cameron's down. He gets like hit off a balcony and face plants, and he's knocked out. The bad guys are surrounding her. Cameron's mom grabs the bangle. They see a train. It's trippy. It doesn't really have an explanation. Later, her grandma's like, that's why you need to come here. You saw the train. But we have no idea what or why or what that means. But there's a train.
The train is, that was the train that was used during the partition. I guess that's how a lot of people got separated, because
I didn't know for sure if it was that train. Thought it could have been
what
a metaphor.
I understand. I don't know if that was in the comics or where I read that, but yeah.
Okay, but they see
part of the partition stuff.
They see the train. Damage control walks in. Okay, now they show where everyone's standing, and she is standing right next to Cameron's mom, and then right next to them is one of the other bad guys. Damage control walks in, shoots the guys right next to her with like a pulse thing. They go down. Then Kamala like pushes away from Cameron's mom and just kind of crawls away, and they just don't see her at all. And I was like, how could you not have seen who was in the room? You shot one of the people that was standing right next to. So one of the people moves behind a pillar, and you're just like, forget about. They're probably not important. Who cares if it matches the exact description of the person that we're actually after? Wearing a bright red dress. The most visually obvious person in this room. And it's not like she vanishes behind a cloud of smoke. She just moves out of the way.
Well,
like,
he didn't have any she didn't have any weapons out, and they did.
Well, who cares? Do you still just let another person leave?
Just saying.
It's just ridiculous. And she's the person that they're there to find, though. Debbie, it doesn't matter if she has weapons or not. They're looking for an enhanced individual. She doesn't have a gun. Leave her. That's probably your sign that she's the person that you're after. Other than the fact that she matches the exact description. It was just ridiculous. I watched that scene. I had to rewind it and watch it over again just to be like, yeah, they shot someone next to those two people. Then the two people that are left, one of them pushes away, and you just ignore that person forever from then on. And it's why?
She didn't have her suit on, so they didn't recognize her.
Debbie, stop.
Oh, please.
Stop.
Please.
You're better than that, Debbie. You don't need to.
Look,
they get paid to make this stuff. It's their job to get it right. It's not your job to defend them when they get it so laughably wrong. And it is. It's laughably wrong. It's just like there's another scene when they're fighting in like the dining area, and she gets thrown onto a table, and the cover on that table kind of folds in, and then they cut away to the people who are right behind her. And they lift the cover, and she's not there anymore. And then it shows her like under a different table. And I'm like, what, did she just teleport? Because she would have had to get out from under. And that tablecloth is only as big as one table. It's that, but they're like, well, we cut away during that time. So she must have done something during that cutaway. I was like, they're right behind her. This is a fight scene where they're literally just following her. You would have seen someone crawl
But okay, I'm gonna throw this out, and again, I have no idea the character. I have no idea of her power set. All I know is what I know from the Lego Marvel superheroes games, and in those games, Miss Marvel has one of her abilities is to like shrink like ridiculously small, like teeny tiny, and move around in computer circuits and stuff. I mean, we're talking that small.
Well, was that part of her ability when she was a stretchy thing?
See, I don't know.
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
And
But
now she could
again,
be involved in.
if that's an ability of hers to where she can like not teleport necessarily, but where she can like Ant-Man herself and run across the room, and
But why wouldn't they show that?
I don't know, because they're saving it for a dramatic reveal. Like the whole thing with Spider-Man where he goes, "Hey, I think I can do this, and if I pass out, just or if I rip myself in half, don't worry." Is he gonna rip himself in half?
Yeah.
You know he can do it.
Does anyone have any orange slices? And she doesn't know, the extent of her powers yet. She didn't even know she could punch until
I did it once in a lab, and I passed out.
All right. Does anyone else have any remarkable powers they'd like to share? But yeah, so this episode kind of was a lot of exposition. And we still are left with a lot of questions because what are these Jinn really? What does her grandmother know?
And is she really a Jinn?
And does she have another bangle or something? How did she see the train? Like, how is she connected to this? She just ran off, and it's like, we haven't seen her since. And, well, she's there. What is the disconnect? I really want to know, like, what happened with
Aisha?
Yeah. That everyone talks about her like that, and that there's just, she's brought dishonor upon the family. Meh. Like, how? Why? And if that's the case and everyone feels that way, how are you going to get to go see her?
It's like that scene in that Encanto movie. We don't talk about.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Yes. Whatever. I saw it once, was unimpressed, but for some reason that keeps cropping up. We don't talk about Bruno.
Poor Bruno. Get out of here, Brian.
Oh, and actually, we don't talk about Bruno, and that just makes it. Yeah, that just adds to it.
Layers, like a cake,
like an onion.
Yeah, but yeah. So I don't. It's Miss Marvel. It's happening. I don't know. It's not really blowing me away, I guess, but it's not bad.
We're only halfway through.
Yeah, I mean, she's still discovering her powers. It'll be interesting to see.
What's going to have to happen in these last 3 episodes to somehow lead into the movie, because I don't think she's in anything else, right?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
The movie comes out. Is it later this year? It comes out.
November maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking. So
that was the one that
for some reason she shows up in Thor.
Well, that was the one that switched places with Ant-Man. Because they switched the release date.
Oh no, it's next year.
Yeah.
July 28th of next year. July of next year.
Because they switched the places of that movie and Ant-Man in the lineup. So Quantumania got moved up and the Marvels got moved back. Which I was fine with because I don't care about the Marvels and I want to see Ant-Man. Paul Rudd.
I'm waiting for Thor.
Well, you don't have much longer to wait. That's
like next week.
A week and a half, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, is it really that close?
Ant-Man's not out until February. February of next year.
Yeah, but it's better than July of next year.
What's our May movie this year? Next year?
Next year?
Yeah, that was what was coming out in May.
I don't remember. I need to keep a list out because the way they keep switching things around, I can't keep track of what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I usually just know when it's a week or so away. Oh,
Wakanda.
It's here.
Isn't that coming out this year? Wakanda?
Oh, maybe it is Wakanda next year. I don't know. Hang on. May 6th. So next we've got Thor in July. We've got Black Panther in November of this year, November 11th. Ant-Man and the Wasp is February. Guardians 3 is May. And then the Marvels will be July. And Fantastic Four, apparently, it just says TBA, to be announced. It's in development.
Never.
There you go.
You turned John Krasinski into spaghetti, and now it's just done.
Maybe they'll make an announcement at San Diego Comic-Con.
When is that? Is that?
It's coming up real quick.
I was going to say it's pretty soon.
Yeah, because originally Marvel wasn't going to be at that, and then all of a sudden they are. Yeah. So I assume there'll be some big announcements. If not then in September at D23.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be looking forward to any more announcements that they make. I, for one, still just excited for Ant-Man. Thor looks amazing, too. Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. Christian Bale is a phenomenal actor. He gives 110 crazy% into everything he does. And it definitely looks like he's going to be a big presence in this film. It'll be interesting to see him against people like Chris Hemsworth's Thor and Russell Crowe's Zeus and Natalie Portman. So, yeah, Thor, it definitely has more potential than I originally. I'm more excited about it than I originally was. Now, especially now that
it's close.
I'm very excited.
The gore images really, because before that I was just like, another Thor. Not that Ragnarok was bad or anything like that, but I don't know.
Debbie, you're only looking forward to it because of Chris Hemsworth naked scene.
Flick.
And it won't be pixelated, evidently.
You flicked too hard.
Well, then you get to see a butt.
Double standard.
Oh well, the pendulum.
Now they had the world premiere last week, and from everything I've heard, it's funny, it's emotional. People were saying bring tissues, and I was like, holy crap, is somebody gonna die? Ew.
Yeah. Thor.
No.
Yes. He's a god butcher. He kills God. Thor's a god.
Yeah. The god
Natalie Portman will probably die. We'll see. Who knows? Well, actually, he's Thor. I'm the god of thunder. It's like, yeah, well, you've been doing an awful lot of work with lightning. Call yourself the god of lightning. You need lightning to make thunder. It's like, well, then maybe you're the god of lightning and thunder. All this, if there is a god of lightning, he's going to be pissed. I'm just say that. Anyways, not important. Anything else on this week's episode of Miss Marvel or Miss Marvel in general?
No.
I went to the comic book.
Ramp it up real quick.
I went to the comic book store yesterday, and I did not buy any Miss Marvel comics. And I told myself I was going to do that next time I went.
Well, they did have another QR code in the episode that you could get a free.
I've missed every one of them. I'm going to go back and rewatch the whole thing.
To look it up. And also, there's a lot in a lot of these scenes, like especially in her room or in the store. There's stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's stuff everywhere. So I'm sure there's tons of stuff that I've been missing because I've been looking at like the characters But I do like to, in some shows and other things, is go back and rewatch things and then intentionally look away from where they're trying to get you to look, so you can find some of that fun stuff.
You're the one that goes and sees a magic show for the second time, so you can go see what the other hand is doing.
Sure, why not? I mean, yeah, that's why, like in Multiverse of Madness, the trap that they catch Wanda in the Mirrorverse, whatever.
Mhm.
In a previous scene, you can see a couple of sorcerers putting that trap together, placing it on the ground. So,
okay, just because you brought up Multiverse of Madness, I watched it again the other day because it's on.
Did you hear the guitar?
No, I didn't.
Oh man,
no, I wasn't paying attention to that. I was more concerned about so we're watching it and we got to the one scene, and it's the scene when they're in the sewers, and they're running from Wanda, and they're looking for the waypoint, and they're just like, run, run, run. And she's smashing through doors. She's tearing walls apart. She is just destroying this place. And they get behind the last door, and it slams shut, and they stop. Yeah. And they're looking back, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they stand there for like 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm like,
idiot!
No,
moving.
We're building the tension for the shock scare or the jump scare when she walks out of the corner.
And then
like, boo.
They get to the book, and they see it there, and they're like 10 feet away, and they just kind of casually jump down, and once they get there, they're walking up to it. Run! Go grab that thing and get on it!
Grab that MacGuffin!
What crap is wrong with you?
Been saying how important that is. Just open a portal there. Don't you have a sling ring? What are you? It's in a different dimension.
It doesn't work that way.
It's in a different universe. Oh, the multiverse. Good stuff. Anyway, exciting. Maybe we'll see more about that when America Chavez teams up with Miss Marvel. Whenever that happens, along with Wiccan and what's the other kid's name? Speed. They literally just called him Speed. Fast.
That name.
This is fast.
Okay, fine. You're gonna do that. Look at the Incredibles. Let's name
Batman.
our kid Dash. Let's name our kid Dash because he runs fast. Hey, Dash.
Well, they couldn't call him the Flash. Who knows if that movie's ever going to come out? That might just go direct to Disney Plus.
From what I've heard,
have they found Ezra Miller?
I think so. I don't know. They're one of our writers on GeekNewsNow.net's been doing a whole big long John. He's been doing a big long thing on
trying to catch the Flash.
Ezra Miller. Yes, exactly.
It's tough. It's he's fast. Yeah, but yeah, poor DC. I mean, they were having a hard enough time just with the mistakes that they were making
in their movies,
making the films, let alone like having two of their stars now just. And this is just, I mean, Amber Heard and Ezra Miller. It's just those are just the latest of the. I mean, they've had tons of things going wrong for them. Like, we'll see what they can do. Black Adam. Yeah. Well, I mean, Ezra Miller was not. Something has happened to that person. I don't know what, but I mean, he wasn't. They weren't always like this. I don't know what to tell you though.
I mean, did stardom just like go to his head? And
I don't know.
I heard he's got a cult or something. I don't know. It's just so bizarre.
I heard he was on I thought he was on like an illegal marijuana farm, and he's growing marijuana now.
I don't know. It's just so bizarre.
There's nothing wrong with growing marijuana. That doesn't seem like a problem. That's the whole attacking people and breaking into people's houses and grooming people and fleeing police and disappearing
with somebody in your with you and in your possession. Yeah. Oh, we're not kidnapping. Yeah. They're coming willingly. Yeah.
That's all the problems that I had. If he was just growing weed, I would have been like, this is nothing. This is not even, no, but it's all that other crap that's like, hey, That's not okay. None of that.
That's not good.
That movie in Aquaman, the second one, they just need to go straight to stream, because I don't know if anybody will actually pay to go see them.
I don't know what they're gonna do, but hey, that's DC. That's their problem. Marvel's problem. Oversaturation.
Somebody commented actually that Marvel right now is like Nintendo. They can do no wrong, so they can just put out as much crap as they want to, and people are going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean they are kind of like the staple.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? I mean, but not everyone's tuning into Miss Marvel now. Maybe the numbers will change now that Kenobi's over, but so far it was doing less than half. It had less than half of the watchers than the next lowest MCU show. So,
which is really, I mean, I've enjoyed the series. Go watch it. It's fun. If anything, just because it's fun.
I mean, if you have Disney Plus, there's no reason not to. There's certainly nothing in it that I was like, I can't believe that they did this. No, there's nothing. Although I rarely feel that way about anything. So.
I'm going to compare it to many years ago. We were at one of the malls in Dallas, and Luke and I were going to go see a movie. And what movie was on? It was Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, I've never even heard of this. I don't know what it is. All I know is that it's part of the MCU. And now Guardians is like my go-to movie, either one of them, 1 and 2. Yeah, hey, you want to watch an MCU movie? Yeah, which one? Guardians 1 or Guardians 2? Take your pick.
One of those. Great soundtrack.
It's a great soundtrack. It's got Chris Pratt in it. It's got
fun, funny,
it's hilarious. It's
emotional beats.
A bang bang blow up stuff. I mean,
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
I mean, it's great. It's a lot of fun. And Miss Marvel that's kind of the same thing, where I had no idea what this character is, but going into it now, I'm really enjoying the series. So,
yeah, I'm definitely excited to see where it goes. She's still, given that this is the first show that is, an origin story. Like, this is the first time that we've had an origin story that's not just a movie. So it might feel like it's taking longer for that to happen, but you need to get to the end, see what. So it is. We're only halfway through, and we'll see who Miss Marvel is by the end of this show. And I'm kind of definitely interested in seeing where it's gonna leave her going forward. So we shall see. And we'll be back to talk about this week's episode next Monday, because we're here almost every Monday night for MCU Mondays. Same Monday time, same Monday place. And if you want to talk about Star Wars, you can always go over to David's show, Thursday nights, the Geek News Now Cantina Happy Hour.
Come this Thursday, we're going to be discussing our favorite characters, but look at this. Look at this. We're giving this away on the show. This very cool Boba Fett print by Joe Coker. Joe Coker's the artist. He signed it. It's right here. It's autographed. It's an amazing print. It's really cool. We're going to be giving it away on the show on Thursday. So come check us out.
Make sure to tune in, and you could win that awesome print. That is one of my absolute favorite characters, and that's pretty awesome looking print. So I'm going to sign in under a bunch of fake accounts and see if I get my hands on it. I'm just kidding. Tune in Thursday night for Star Wars. Tune in next Monday and every Monday for more MCU Mondays. That's it for us this Monday. We'll see you next time. Let's find something fun to go out on. Well, that's not a good one.
Well, that's just bad.
Not that.
Why do I have that?
Hey, let's do Get Help. What? Get Help. No. Come on, you love it. I hate it. It's great. It works every time. It's humiliating. Do you have a better plan? No. We're doing it.
Get help! Please!